Welcome back. All right, so as we watch the San Jose Sharks go through a season where they very well may not win a game all year, and I'm not even kidding. And if you watch their last two games, you know what I'm talking about. But we had 13 games tonight. If you're looking for the review of the two games that were done earlier today, that's already on the channel, so you can go check that out. But we had 13 games tonight, and we have one team left that is undefeated in regulation. It is not the Boston Bruins. So it was Ullmark versus Husso in this one. Good early back and forth. The shots 3 minutes in were 2-1 Boston. Marchand has a net feed, that's held. Poitras had a screenshot, that was held. And then at 5:21, Van Riemsdyk scores the first goal of the game. Pastrnak and Zacha with the assists. In fact, the shots are 11-4 Boston at 6.5 minutes. We get a power play for Detroit. That's killed off. The Wings press after it ends. But at 9:28, Boston scores again. It's Poitras from Shattenkirk and Van Riemsdyk. So Boston is suddenly up 2-0. And he stick handled that one around Husso. It was a beautiful goal by Poitras. DeBrincat's then denied the next shift. The Bruins press for another. Petrie has a blast that deflects wide. Detroit's pressing there. Compher has a 3-on-2 shot that deflects out. Larkin down. The Wings go to the power play and they score on it. Raymond from Perron and Larkin at 16:20 buries it glove side. The Bruins had terrible control of themselves tonight and gave Detroit just way too many opportunities. So things get punchy with 2:18 left. The Bruins come out of that with a power play. Great shorthanded play by the Wings. They kill that off. And so we go to the second period with Boston ahead 2-1. Get a power play for Boston. It lasts 4 seconds. Becomes a minute and 56. 4-on-4. Wings end up getting a power play after that's done. Boston kills that one off. The shots are 6-4 Detroit 7 minutes in. We then get another power play for Detroit, and they score on it. It is Wallman who ties the game from Sider and Sprong at 9:59. Larkin gets shaken up. It was a hit along the boards. Larkin took a beating tonight. He really did. But anyways, Wings press for the lead, and then at 13:41, Coyle buries one from the side of the net to put Boston back into the lead. DeBrusk and Wotherspoon with the assists. We then get a power play for Boston. That's killed off. Gostisbehere can't bury one. DeBrincat has a shot that's held. There's one that's fired high as the Wings press. Looking at that, I'm thinking Petrie. I don't know why I put an I at the end. Just threw me off completely. I spelled it phonetically. Threw myself off. Petrie fires one high as the Wings press. So it's Boston up 3-2 after 2. And I didn't feel like Boston was the better team through 2 periods. So third period, the hockey gods make things right. Wings press at a minute and a half. The shots on net, though, are 2-0 for Boston at 4.5 minutes. But Larkin scores from Raymond and DeBrincat at 6:50. On a net drive, that ties it, and then the momentum kicks in. Perron scores from Compher and Petrie at 8:56. That gives Detroit the lead, and then the insurance goal. Kopp from Compher and Perron at 10:34. We then get a power play for Boston with 7.5 minutes left, and they score on it as Pastrnak with his 9th of the season. Poitras and Lindholm with the assists of 14:11. That is Lindholm's first point. He needs to get it going. Wings get a power play with 1:28 left. It becomes a 5-on-3. It's just a mess. Things get punchy on a hold by Ullmark, and Detroit wins this one 5-4. They go to 7-3-1 with the win. Boston drops to 9-1-1 with this loss. Shots on net 14-12 Detroit in the first, 17-9 Detroit in the second. Both teams had 9 shots in the third. Final shots 40-30 for Detroit. Power plays, Boston 1 for 4, Detroit 2 for 8. Hits 20-16 for Detroit. So they controlled every part of the game. Ullmark 35 saves on 40 shots. Husso saved 26 out of 30. And there you go. Boston is no longer without a loss in regulation. Next up, Tampa Bay and Ottawa. So things in Ottawa are not great. And tonight's result will not make it better. Ottawa has a very home-heavy schedule to start the season. And if they continue to lose as they are, it is going to make it really difficult for them to dig their way out. So it's Johansson versus Korpisalo in this one. Tampa Bay presses at 2.5 minutes. We had a fight between Watson and McEwen. Remember, Austin Watson was a Senator just last year. Shots are 3-1 Tampa at 4.5 minutes. The Sens press at 6 minutes. Kucherov has a rush chance, that's saved. Hagel's denied on a face-off win, and then Tkachuk tips one in at 12:58 from Joseph and Sanderson. That's the first goal of the game. That's for the Ottawa Senators. The lead doesn't last. Hedman wide open, and it took a Tampa Bay bounce on the play as well. Hedman's wide open. He buries it. Kucherov and point with the assists at 17:05. So after the first period, it's 1-1. Second period, point scores from Kucherov at 32 seconds, so not an optimal start to the period for Ottawa. Bolts look for another. Momentum for Tampa, and the crowd was quiet. And then it doesn't get better when Asimont scores from Cirelli at 4:57. So Korpisalo's out. He throws his stick when he reaches the bench. I don't blame him. I really don't. Bolts press for more. We get a power play for Ottawa. That's killed off. Tampa presses after. Jeannot nearly scores. The puck doesn't actually get to him. If it had, he would have buried it. Power play for Tampa. That's killed off. Tkachuk's denied. The rebound's held. And then at 18-19, it is Point. I told you he was due. Scores from Kucherov. And it's just play to the whistle. Don't assume that there's going to be a whistle and stop playing. So Point didn't hear a whistle. The puck wasn't covered. And he buries it. So that makes it 4-1. That's your score after 2. Third period, early press by the Sens, and Giroux would score from Stützle and Bernard Docker at 1:17. The Sens then press for another. We get a power play for Ottawa. Joseph's denied from the side of the net. Power play then for Tampa. That's killed off, but Tampa goes back to the power play and they score on it. It's Point. It's his second career hat trick from Stamkos and Kucherov at 9:38. So he tips that one in. I'm surprised it's only his second career hat trick. He had 50 goals last year. So then we get a power play for Ottawa, and they score on that as well. At 11:08, it's Tkachuk, and he had a bit of a back and forth going on with the Tampa Bay bench, so he had a few words for them after getting that one, so it's posting in. But 16 seconds later, and this is why you don't chirp the bench, Kucherov answers from Barré-Boulet and Hedman. Kucherov tips it in. Nice pass by Barré-Boulet. I hope when Tampa gets healthy, he stays in the lineup. Sens score. Was it a missed stoppage? Will they challenge it? Nope, it wasn't. So Batherson gets the goal from Tkachuk and Sanderson at 12:14. So the Sens have a power play as a result, and that's killed off. Sens press after it's done, but in the end, they're not able to generate another goal. So your final score is 6-4 for Tampa. They go to 5-3-3 on the season, and the Sens 4-6. One thing to keep in mind, because people ask, how do you keep up with all this? As long as the games are low scoring, it's not that stressful. Anyways, shots on net, 15-7 Tampa in the first, 16-9 Tampa in the second, 12-6 Ottawa in the third. Final shots, 37-28 for Tampa. Power plays, the Bolts 1 for 3, Ottawa 1 for 4. The hits, 24-16 Tampa. Johansson saves 24-28. Korpisalo, 17 saves on 20 shots. Forsberg, 14 saves on 17 shots. So for Ottawa, this just, it does not bode well. After the game, apparently, Tkachuk was very vocal about his support for the coach because obviously people are going to ask, so the GM's gone as the coach next? The answer is usually yes. So I understand the players defending their coach, but eventually that's what happens. All right, Montreal and St. Louis. Montembeault versus Hofer. And the question that was being asked a lot about Montreal was, at what point will the goaltending come back to normal? And drop to earth, and tonight might have been the night. So at 1:24, Kyrou buries one in close on their second shot. Shen and Saad with the assist, so it's 1-0 St. Louis. We get a power play for the Habs. They score on it. It's Slafkovsky at 4 minutes and a second from Newhook and Gallagher. Buries that on a tic-tac-toe play, and at least Slafkovsky had a good game tonight. Blues press for response. We get a power play for Montreal. That's unsuccessful. Gallagher's denied right after that ends. And then St. Louis gets the lead back. It's Thomas from Falk. He wires that one from the slot at 16:37. Then there's a near miss for Caulfield. The Blues press in the final minute. It's 2-1 for St. Louis after one. Second period, the Habs press at 5.5 minutes. Thomas takes a puck to the mouth. There's a lot of that tonight. Shots are 4-3 for the Habs at 6.5 minutes. We then get a power play for Montreal. There's a shoulder save on Newhook. It was a good game for Hofer. That's killed off. Caulfield's then robbed from the slot, and following that at 13:03, Saad, who already had an assist on the night, gets a goal. Kyrou and Shen with the assist, so Kyrou getting a couple of points there. The Habs press to respond, and eventually they do. At 14:48, it's Gallagher scoring from Monahan. Good forechecking by Montreal leads to the goal, and after 2 periods, it's 3-2 for St. Louis. But in the third, St. Louis would pull away. Early jump for Montreal. In fact, they get a power play, but it's a shorthanded goal by Toropchenko from Buchnevich at 2:50. Makes it 4-2, and then the Blues finish the kill. Hayes is denied on a rush. There's some pushing there, and then at 5:53, Shen adds one. He scores from Kyrou and Saad. So Shen, that's his first of the season. Caulfield then had a rush chance, that's saved. Habs press at the half. The Blues press with 5.5 minutes left. Eventually they get an empty netter. It's Kapanen from Thomas at 16 minutes. And then at 18:32, Montreal answers. It is Suzuki from Caulfield and Matheson. So your final score is 6-3. St. Louis goes to 5-4-1 with the win. Montreal drops to 5-4-2. Back-to-back losses to St. Louis as well as Arizona. And the run at the start of the year appears to be coming to an end for Montreal. Shots on net, 14-9 St. Louis in the first, 13-11 Montreal in the second, 11-10 Montreal in the third. Final shots, 35-33 for the Blues. Power plays, 1-for-4 for Montreal. St. Louis didn't really want one, so they didn't get one. Hits, 20-11 for St. Louis. Montembeault saves 29 out of 34, and Hofer saved 30 out of 33. Solid night for him. So, next up, Toronto and Buffalo. You know, I have to say, I still, in the back of my mind, think, well, Toronto's got to turn this around. They're too talented. But this is an alarming result. This is not going to be a result that Toronto fans are happy with. And there's going to be a lot of questions asked after this one. So, it's Levi versus Wall. Remember, Buffalo, back-to-backs. Apparently it's all right. So the shots are 2-0 Sabres 2 minutes in. The fans call one. The referee doesn't. We get a power play for Toronto. Nylander's denied. Riley was denied as well. Is barely killed off, but is killed off by Buffalo. Levi is solid as the Leafs are pressuring at this point. Holmberg has a net drive that's blocked. Nyes to Domi gets picked off. But at 12:05, Toronto scores first. It's Mitch Marner from Yarncroke and Riley. We then get a power play for the Sabres. Skinner has a shot that's held. And then Peterka scores from power and Krebs at 16-13. So I'm going to assume that's the power play goal. Pretty sure that's the power play goal there. And again, there was a lot of games on. At one point, because there were so many goals being scored, I could just put goal magnets up. So I was just putting up goal magnets and tracking my notes, and then I went back and added the goals after. So at any rate, Sabres press for the lead. Then there's another press by them in the final minute. 34.2 seconds left, though the Leafs get the power play. So that rolls over into the second period with the score tied at 1. Tavares can't bury one in close. That's killed off. We get a power play for the Sabres. It becomes 1 minute and 34 seconds of 5-on-3. A lot of loud booing for that. Yarncroke clears it early, and they do kill that off. Good kill by Toronto there. We then get a power play for Toronto. Tavares is denied. It's cleared, and Thompson gets a shorthanded goal, buries a rebound on a break at 6:28. So he buries his own rebound, and then makes it 2-1 Buffalo. And then, importantly, the Sabres finish the kill. We get a press by the Sabres with 9.5 minutes left, but the Leafs get a power play, and they score on it. It's Matthews from Nylander and Marner at 11:22, and it was a rush chance from the slot. And then Skinner gets that one right back 34 seconds later, 11:56. Ryan Johnson with his first NHL point. So after 2 periods, it's 3-2 Buffalo. And Buffalo showing they weren't going to let Toronto get one over on them. But 17 seconds into the third period, Toronto scores again. It's Matthews from Marner, and then the Leafs look for another. But at 3:11, Greenway scores for Buffalo from Middlestad and Peterka. Toronto, as this one goes back and forth, they score from Giordano and Marner at 7:26. So that makes it a 1-goal game. And then that ties the game at 4. And then Tuck scores to make it 5-4 from Dahlin and Clifton at 12:48. So Toronto would pull the goaltender and Buffalo would hit the empty net. It's Tuck. Hits the empty net at 18:54. So he ends up with 2 goals. Did he have any helpers? No. On my board, he did not. But Buffalo wins this one 6-4. They go to 6-6 on the season. A huge win for Buffalo. And then for Toronto, they're 5-4-2. Frustrating start to the season for Toronto. Shots on net, 13-12 Toronto in the first. 14-10 Buffalo in the second. 15-6 Buffalo in the third. Final shots, 41-29 Buffalo. Buffalo should not have been the fresher team in the third period. Power plays, Buffalo 1 for 3, Toronto 1 for 4. The hits, 32-21 Toronto. Levi saves 25 out of 29. Wall saves 35 out of 40. So, going to be a lot of questions asked in Toronto. All right, Columbus and Washington. So, this game, pretty entertaining. The score is much lower than the other games, but it was entertaining, and I was very grateful. This one went fast. It was also the fastest game of the night. Merzlikins versus Lindgren in this one. Early power play for the Caps. That's killed off. Pretty aggressive kill by Columbus. We get a penalty shot for Tom Wilson. That is saved. It was his first career penalty shot, too, which is kind of a surprise for me. Shots are 3 apiece at 7 minutes. Strong first half for Columbus. The Jackets press with 9 minutes left. In fact, they're leading in shots 9-4 with 8.5 minutes left. So Trevor Van Riemsdyk gets hurt. They announce he will not return. At 12:21, Wilson deflects one over the shoulder of Elvis Merzlikins, puts the Capitals in the lead 1-0. We then get a power play for Columbus. That leads to a shorthanded 2-on-1, which Jenner breaks up. That's killed off. The Caps clear, and then it's Sonny Milano scoring at 17:21. He does so from Jensen and Sandin. So after the first period, it is 2-0 for the Caps. Second period, 1 minute and 38 seconds in, Voronkov scores his second career goal from Marchenko and Jiricek. So that makes it a 2-1 game. That was through a screen from the slot. Not much chance on that one for Lindgren. Caps look to answer. In fact, the shots are 5-2 Washington, 5 minutes in. So they have a much better start to this period, and yet they're down. If you look at the scoring in that period, they're ahead by 1 goal altogether. So the Caps press at the half. There's a near miss for Strome in close. Heavy Capitals press with 8.5 minutes left. The shots are 10-4 for Washington with 6.5 minutes left. Then with 3:45 left, Columbus gets a power play. Kuznetsov with a net feed. It ends up being killed off. The power play is killed off. Kuznetsov, nice shorthanded play. And so after 2 periods, it's 2-1 in favor of Washington. Then third period, Columbus has a power play that rolls over into the third, and that is finished. The kill is finished by Washington. I'll get it figured out. It'll happen. So things get punchy in a hole by Lindgren. Ovechkin fires one wide on a face-off win. The Jackets press at 5 minutes. There's a power play for the Caps. That's killed off. Jackets get a power play. That's killed off. The Caps cleared out. They allowed 1 shot on said power play. Columbus presses with 4.5 minutes left. Marchenko is absolutely robbed at the net. Lindgren was fantastic tonight. Jackets with a power play with 4:06 left. That's killed off. They pull the goaltender with 2 minutes left. And things get pushed in a hole by Lindgren. The Caps hold on. And then things are kind of chatty at the horn, but it's no big deal. Your final score is 2-1 for the Caps. They go to 5-4-1 with the win. Columbus 4-5-2 with the loss. It's been a rough time for Columbus. Shots on net are 13-8 Columbus in the first, 12-8 Washington in the second, 14-7 Columbus in the third. Final shots 35-27 for the Blue Jackets. Power plays, Columbus 0 for 4, Washington 0 for 3. The hits were 19-13 for Washington. Merzlikins saved 25 out of 27. He was good. He was bettered by Lindgren at the other end, who saved 34 out of 35. And now I need to change boards. All right, so we had some no mercy games tonight. We also had some shutouts tonight. So it is an odd season that we're seeing a lot of shutouts. We're also seeing a lot of goals. I don't know. So this one, it's LA versus the Philadelphia Flyers. It was Talbot versus former LA King Cal Peterson. And it's a Cylon road trip. The Cylon helmets again. The Jets wearing those the Kings wearing those fantastic thirds. Fiala's denied on a break early. We then get a power play for the Kings. There's back-to-back clears by the Flyers. It's killed off. The Flyers press after it's done. But the shots on net are 5-3 for the Kings at 7.5 minutes. Frost has a shot that's held as the Flyers push. We then get a power play for the Flyers. Early kill by the Kings, and they kill it off. And then at 14:32, it's Kempe from Byfield and Gavrikov. And then before we're even done announcing that goal, LA scores again. Kopitar from Roy and Byfield at 14:50. And may every celestial being help you if you could read lips on John Tortorella after that second one went in. Yeah, he was not a happy camper. Kings press, they draw a power play. Philly kills that off. So after the first period, it's 2-0 LA. Second period, Kings press at 2 minutes. We get a power play for Philadelphia. Konechny fires one wide. And he does it again. Power play's killed off. Fans are getting restless at this point. Forrester fires one wide on a rush. The Flyers go back to the power play. That's killed off. The Kings press with 9 minutes left. Kings end up getting themselves a power play. That leads to a shorthanded rush by Konechny. He fires wide there. That's killed off. Delayed game call. LA goes back to the power play. They score on this one. You just give them too many opportunities. Kaliev from Byfield and Moore. Byfield with 3 helpers in this game. That's at 16:01. One thing I was tracking, and Byfield did all the work on this too to set it up. There's a lot of players that I have been told for years are busts that are suddenly playing really well. So the Flyers have a power play with 3:21 left. That's killed off. Sean Walker's then denied from the slot. And then at 19:44, Trevor Moore, he scores one from Kaliev to make it 4-0 and really make sure the Boo Birds are out in Philly. So third period, Konechny has a net drive. That's defended. The Flyers press at 4.5 minutes. Things get punchy on a hole by Peterson. Laferriere with a net drive. That was blocked. And then he gets it out front, and Lizotte buries it. Lizotte from Laferriere, At 6:32, we get a power play for the Kings. That's killed off. And your final score is 5-0. So you have the Tony the Tiger magnet at the top because the goalie's great. You also have the No Mercy magnet here because it was a No Mercy game of a 5-goal difference. The Kings go to 7-2-2. Very impressive road trip by them. Philly 5-6-1 with the loss. So things are not going great for the Philadelphia Flyers. Shots on net 13-11 Philly in the first, 11-8 LA in the second, and then 8-3 LA in the third. Final shots 30-24 for the Kings. Power plays LA 1 for 5, Philadelphia 0 for 4. The hits 20-11 for Philly. Talbot saves all 24 shots he faced, and Peterson saves 25 out of 30. So rough night. Rough night if you're a Flyers fan, unless you really want that top draft pick. All right, next up. Carolina and the Islanders. This meltdown. This is one of the... I can't remember the last time I saw the Islanders meltdown like this. It's Ronta versus Sorokin, which made it even more surprising. Early edge for the Islanders. Jarvis is then denied. Rebounds cleared. We get a power play for New York. That becomes 1 minute and 13 seconds of 4-on-4. Everything's killed off there. Barzal with a net drive. That's saved. Kane's press. They're kept to the outside. The shots are 4 apiece halfway through. Kane's press with 8.5 minutes left. Fashing fires one wide on a rush. The Islanders press. Horvat has a shot that's held. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. And at 17:40, the Islanders get on the board. It's Dobson from Barzal and Horvat during the 4-on-4. So Horvat on the board there with an assist. Kane's press in the final minute. It's 1-0 Islanders after 1. Second period, we have a power play for the Canes. Jarvis is denied on the doorstep, and the puck would end up going the other way. And at 4 minutes and 11 seconds on a breakaway, it's a shorthanded goal by Holmstrom. Pajot with the assist. The Islanders finish the kill. There's a near miss then by Jordan Staal after that's done. The Canes press at 6 minutes, but if Sorokin can see it, he saves it. Wrote it right there on the board. If he can see it, he saves it. Carolina took note. So Barzal on a give and go scores at 7:45 from Horvat and Pulock. It's 3-0. So this one looks like it's done, because I could not envision a scenario where you have a 3-goal lead, you have Sorokin in net, and you lose the game. But seconds later, Chatfield scores. It's a screenshot that deflects in. Martinook and Staal with the assists at 8:18. Canes were a post away from making it 3-2 not too long after. We get another press by the Canes with 6 minutes left. They had a very good second period from there, but after 2 periods, it's 3-1 for the Islanders. Third period, early press by Carolina. 7 minutes into the period, the shots are 6-5 for the Canes. Holmstrom has a rush chance that's defended. Martinook has a shot that's blocked as the Canes press. Slavin has a blast that deflects out. Horvat exits hurt. He would come back not long after, but at 12:19, Orlov. It's one that deflects in on a rush. Kotkaniemi and Svechnikov with the assists, and then the Canes get a power play. Now at this point, Horvat's back, but so's Carolina. Kotkaniemi scores on the power play from Svechnikov at 15:26. He is one of those guys, too, that was written off as a bust not too long ago, and there was only 1 second left in the power play when he scores to tie the game at 3. So in the overtime, the Islanders control early, but Carolina gets it, and they score on their first shot. That's all they needed. Aho from Natchez and Shea at 1:14, and that was after Horvat was denied at the other end. So your final score is a 4-3 overtime win for the Carolina Hurricanes. They go to 7-5. Nice, hard-fought comeback victory. For the Islanders, 5-2-3 with the overtime loss. Shots on net, 14-11 Carolina in the first, 13-8 Carolina in the second, 19-5 Carolina in the third. Both teams had 1 shot in the overtime. The Canes the one that matters. Final shots, 47-25 Carolina. Power plays, the Canes 1 for 3. New York 0 for 1. The hits 17-11 for the Islanders. Ronta saves 22 out of 25, and Sorokin saved 43 out of 47. So Sorokin had a good game, but they found a way to solve them. All right, next up, Florida and Chicago. I didn't see this coming. I'm just going to be transparent. Really, honestly, when I was doing the preview video this morning, or last night, I could have, as a joke, gone, where's Chicago? There would have been just a whatever, but or I could have looked at it and said, well, Florida's not going to lose this. Well, they do. So it's Stolarz versus Mrazek. The shots are 3-0 Hawks at 2.5 minutes. Florida just didn't start on time. It's all Hawks through the first 4 minutes and then the 5 minutes as well. Strong forechecking by Chicago. Things get pushy on a hold by Stolarz. The Hawks come out with a power play, and they score on it. At 6:25, it's Foligno from Jones and Perry. And then the Hawks press for another. Things get punchy at 7:49. We get a power play for Florida. That becomes a 4-on-4. And during the 4-on-4, Nikita Zaitsev gets what is the first goal of the season by a defenseman for the Chicago Blackhawks from Kurashev and Reichel at 9:21. He wires that one from the slot. And then at 12:39, 5-hole on a fast break, it is Hall from Dickinson and Tyler Johnson. It's all Chicago. It's 3-0. No idea what I was watching here. Things get pushy on a hold by Mrazek. Florida gets a power play. That's killed off. The Panthers press in the final minute. But yeah, after one, it's 3-0. Second period. Early edge for Chicago. The Panthers press at 2 minutes. There's a net feed to Athanasiou. That's tipped wide. Panthers press some more at 4 minutes. But on a fast break, it's Connor Bedard. He scores from Kurashev and Tenorti at 5:29. But keeps saying he's not ready. He shouldn't be in the league. Yada, yada, yada. He's got 5 goals. So Lindell then has a shot that deflects out as the Florida Panthers press. They press again with 5.5 minutes left. 2:12 left. The Hawks get a power play. That's killed off. But after 2 periods, it's 4-0 for Chicago. Third period, early jump for Florida because there has to be. You have to have pride kick in. Bedard has a chance that's saved. Tenorti fires one wide as the Hawks press. We then get a power play for the Panthers. Barkov's denied. The Panthers cycle, and then the puck's tipped in. It's an Ekman-Larsson goal for Hagee and Barkov with the assists at 6:33. Then there's a crossbar for Barkov away from making this a 3-2 game, or 4-2 game, sorry. But it does become 4-2 because Tkachuk scores. It's his 500th point in his career at 12:29. Verhaeghe and Mahura with the assists. So making it interesting, and the shots are 12-2 for Florida with 6.5 minutes left. Seth Jones prevented a Tkachuk goal. They were passing it across to him. There was a wide open cage there. Jones gets it out. There's a near miss for Barkov. The Hawks clear, and eventually they hit the empty net. It's Kurashev from Donato at 19:50, and the Hawks win this one 5-2. They go to 4-6 on the season. Florida 5-4-1 with the loss. Shots on net 14-6 Chicago in the first, 19-7 Florida in the second, 15-3 Florida in the third. Final shots are 40-24 for the Panthers. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 3. The hits, 19-18 Chicago. Stolar saves 19 out of 23, and Mrazek saves 38 out of 40. Mrazek continues to steal games. All right, next up, New York and Minnesota. So closing out this board, we have the Rangers and Minnesota. And again, it's another blown lead. These games are bonkers tonight. I've been tracking it. We haven't had blown leads. Tonight, they're all blown leads. So, and I'm getting ready to stop tracking all of it. So, Quick against Gustafsson. There's an early press by the Rangers. Eventually, they get a goal. It's directed in off his skate. They didn't challenge. I don't think it would have worked if they had, but VC gets the goal from Pitlick and Lindgren at 3:36. And then at 5:52, Panarin wires one. He scores from Trocheck and Lafreniere. So that's Lafreniere's first assist on the season. And then the Wild look to answer, but the Rangers score again. At 6:53, it's Gustafsson from Wheeler and Cooley. And Gustafsson made one save before he's replaced by Marc-Andre Fleury, as this game has gotten completely out of control. It's 3-0 Rangers. We get a power play for the Wild. That's killed off. The Wild go back to the power play. Things get punchy on a hold by Quick. Kaprizov's robbed. There's a question of whether or not it was in the net, but nope, wasn't in the net. Wild get another power play. It becomes 19 seconds of 4-on-4. Everything's killed off there, but it's 3-0 Rangers after one. Second period. Wild had the early jump. There's a press by them at 4.5 minutes. Eventually, they get on the board. It's Hartman scoring from Mermis and Zuccarello at 5:57. He buries a rebound there. And then at 6:26, they get another one. It's Eriksson Ek from Faber and Foligno. So all of a sudden, you got all this momentum going towards Minnesota. Kakko gets flattened on a rush. The Wild press at 8.5 minutes. They are unable to generate another goal through the rest of that second period. So we're going to the third with the Rangers lead now cut to a single goal. And there's an early jump for New York, but from the side of the net, Zuccarello ties it against his former teammates, or at least the team he played for. I don't know how many players that Zuccarello played with are still there, but Zuccarello gets the goal from Brodin and Johansson at 1:41. So he tips that one in from the side of the net. It's suddenly 3-3. Then Kaprizov's bloodied. It was a hit by Trocheck. The Wild don't like it very much. The Wild press at 4 minutes. Schneider prevents a Wild goal, but then Marco Rossi, who is finally hitting his stride. I'm so happy to see him playing well. He scores from Kaprizov and Boldy at 5:20, and it's a one-timer from the slot. But the Rangers fight back. At 6:40, it's Kreider from Panarin and Gustafsson. We then get a power play for the Wild. That's killed off. The Wild press with 2.5 minutes left, but it's 4-4. We're going to overtime. In the overtime, the Rangers control early. Boldy goes offside on a stretch pass. If that had connected, I think that would have been it. Boldy to Rossi, there's a near miss on a 2-on-1 there. If these kids get really good chemistry together, Minnesota's got something going on with Boldy and Rossi. And then there's a near miss by Boldy shortly thereafter. So we're going to the shootout, and Boldy gets the winner, because of course he does. So Minnesota pulls this one out, even though they were down 3 after the first. They win 5-4 in a shootout, very important victory. They go to 4-5-2 on the season. For the Rangers, they're 8-2-1. So they have now got the shootout loss point on there. Shots on net, 12-7 Minnesota in the first, 13-5 Minnesota in the second, 14-6 Minnesota in the third, and they had the only shot of the overtime. Final shots, 40-18 for Minnesota. Power plays, 0-for-1 for the Rangers, 0-for-4 for Minnesota. Hits, 13-6 for Minnesota. Quick saves 36 out of 40. Gustafsson saved 1 out of 4. And then Fleury went in and saved 13 out of 14. So good night for Fleury. And Minnesota pulls it out. And now I need to change boards. All right, final board, I promise. So, Calgary in against Seattle, and these were two desperate teams, and coming out of this, they're still both desperate teams. Seattle was looking to even the record. Doesn't work out for them. So it's Vladar versus Grubauer. Kraken press at 2.5 minutes. They had a 3-on-2. That was defended by Calgary. The shots on net are 2-1 for Seattle, 4.5 minutes in. Beniers has a turnover chance. That deflects out. Mangiapane has a shot that's blocked. He then cross-checks McCann to the back of the neck, and they review it. He's gone. It's 5 in a game. He's probably going to get a call from Department of Player Safety. It was dumb. I didn't understand it. I didn't even understand what he was mad about. So there's a shorthanded rush by Backlund, but it's a 5-minute power play. Seattle does score. At 9:56, it's Bjorkstrand from Schultz and Gord. The Kraken then set up and cycle. That was relatively early in the 5 minutes, but the Flames do kill off the rest of the major, which is huge. And then Pospisil, in his first NHL game, he gets a goal from Kadri and Dubé at 13:59. Buries that one on a rush right after the power play's done. And then at 16:22, Seattle gets the lead back. It's Tolvanen from Gord and Shore. And that's on a turnover by the Flames. So you got to watch that. McCann then with a near miss with 1:20 left. But after the first period of play, it's 2-1 Seattle. Second period, Dumoulin's denied on a rush. We then had a net feed to Hanifin. Near miss there. Shots are 4-1 for Calgary, 5 minutes in. Kraken press at 7.5 minutes. Larson had a net feed. That was picked off. We get a power play for Seattle. Schwartz has a net feed. That's picked off as well. So Calgary doing a good job of keeping the puck away from their net, and they do kill that off. Karche's then denied on a rush. We get a press by the Kraken with 6.5 minutes left. Bjorkstrand fires one wide on a rush. We get a power play for Calgary, and just as the power play comes to an end, at 19:01, it's Hanifin from Huberdeau and Zari. So it's 2-2 after 2. Early in the third, during a good press, Sharangovich tips one in. Zadorov and DeSimone with the assists. So 1:31 into the third, all of a sudden Calgary has their first lead of the game. Huberdeau's then denied as the Flames press. Greer's denied on a break, but the puck comes out front. Backlund ends up burying the rebound. Dewar and Greer with the assists at 4:01. It's a 2-goal lead. Karche's denied. We get some pushing. We have 2 minutes of 4-on-4 that comes out of that. Heavy press by the Kraken with 8.5 minutes left. Nothing happens there. Goalie pull happens with 2:15 left, and 6-on-5, they score. It is Schwartz from Beniers and Dunn at 18:29. Schwartz tips it in, makes it a 1-goal game, but when they pull the goalie, that's when Calgary widens the score. Backlund scores at 19:12. The goalie gets pulled again. Rasmus Andersson hits the empty net at 19:39. The Calgary Flames win this matchup 6-3. They improve their record to 3-7-1. The Kraken 4-6-2 with the loss. Shots on net 10-6 Seattle in the first, 13-3 Calgary in the second, 12-7 Calgary in the third. Final shots 31-20 for Calgary. Power plays, the Flames 1 for 2, Seattle 1 for 3. The hits 17-8 Calgary. Vladar 17 saves on 20 shots. Grubauer 25 saves on 29 shots. All right, next up. Nope, I'm not making this up. Nope, and I am pretty sure, I don't even have to look at the record book. I would be very surprised if a team in the National Hockey League, in the 100 and however many years it's been around, if there's ever been a team that's allowed more than 9 goals in back-to-back games. I said, and I stand by it, San Jose is the worst team I've seen in the salary cap era. I might need to amend that and just say they're the worst team I've seen and stop. It's Jari versus Blackwood, and I even saw Penguins fans like, oh, they'll get the first win against us, and I kept thinking, Nah. So there's an early power play by the Penguins, and they score on their first shot, far corner. It's Riley Smith from Carlson and Gensel. So Erik Karlsson comes back home, and he gets on the score sheet. Sharks press at 4 minutes. The shots on net are only 2 apiece at 7.5 minutes. Hoffman's denied. The Penguins rush, and they score. It's Riley Smith from Pettersson and Rust at 12:55. Sharks look to answer. Eklund gets denied there. 3:50 left. The Sharks get a power play. It becomes 52 seconds of 5-on-3, and then I couldn't believe what my eyes were seeing. Kyle Burroughs is on the first power play unit? All right, so that was killed off, and Pettersson comes out of the box and gets a bit of a break, so he's denied, and after the first period, it's 2-0. But San Jose, the broadcast crew, bless their hearts, selling us that this was actually a good period for San Jose. They did outshoot Pittsburgh, and they were only down 2. It doesn't stay that way. Early press by the Sharks in the second, but at 3:21, Jake Gensel makes it 3-0 from Rust and Joseph. And then at 4:26, Hinostroza with his first goal as a Penguin makes it 4-0. The Penguins look to add another. We then get a power play by San Jose. There's back-to-back early clears, but San Jose scores on the power play. It's Duclair. Tips one in front from Hertl and McDonald at 8:34. So it's 4-1, but that just makes Pittsburgh angry. So they score seconds later at 9:12. It's Malkin. 5-hole from the inner slot. Yeah. Riley Smith and Raquel with the assists. Now, there were some people who were swearing at me for saying anything negative about the goaltending in San Jose, so I'll just shrug. At any rate, then at 9:27, so 15 seconds later, Letang. I'm not saying the defense is any good, but the goaltending, there's definitely some goals. When you allow 20 goals in 2 games, they're not all zingers. So Letang scores from Crosby and Rust at 9:27. We're about halfway through the game, so Corona. He gets thrown to the Wolves. And at 11:53, Nieto welcomes him to the game from Achari and Hinostroza at 11:53. And this is the moment that I have to say was my favorite because you hear San Jose coach, I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was one of their assistant coaches or head coach, shouting, "Stop chasing bleeping offense." Meaning that it's a hot mic. We hear it. We clearly hear it. There was no beeping. And so through the rest of the game, the announcers kept talking about how the Sharks were chasing offense. I was like, I wonder where they got that idea. and basically the idea is, the way that I interpret it is the coach is saying, hey, look, we're down by a lot. Stop trying to rush a goal, make a stupid play, and then there's a turnover and it's in our net. So it's a lot to 1 at this point. We get a power play for the Sharks. That's killed off. 2:54 left. The Penguins get a power play. Becomes 48 seconds of 4-on-4. There's crossbar for Granlund. Everything's killed off. We go to the third period. And early in the third, Rust starts the scoring again. Gensel and Karlsson with the assists of 49 seconds. It's a backhand in close. It wasn't great. Penguins draw a power play. That's killed off. We then get a power play for the Sharks, and they score on it. So they were only down a touchdown at that. No, they were down. Oh, yeah, they're down to touchdown if you don't count the extra point, right? So McDonald gets the power play goal from Hertl and Granlund at 9:20, and it was under the bar from the point. But then the Penguins get a power play, and they score on it, so they go back up by a lot. At 11:02, it's Malkin from Smith and Raquel. And then at 12:09, a little over a minute later, Rust scores again from Gensel. So a lot of points for Gensel tonight. A lot of points for Rust. 10-2 is your final. Pittsburgh improves their record to 4-6-0 and wish they could play San Jose more. San Jose is now 0-10-1. Remember, the 1 point they have was stolen by Blackwood. Stolen from Colorado. So the shots on net, 9-8 San Jose in the first, 17-8 Pittsburgh in the second, 10-9 Pittsburgh in the third. Final shots, 35-26 Pittsburgh. Power plays, the Penguins 2 for 4, San Jose 2 for 6. The hits, 29-12 for San Jose. Jari saves 24-26. Blackwood saved 12 out of 18, and Corona saved 13 out of 17. So when they said, oh, Kakinen's hurt. Yeah, sure he is. I remember when the Kings were really bad years ago and all their goalies were getting hurt, and I had this theory that they were, going after Barbados or Jamaica or something. Better check and see if Kakinen's in the country, or if he's like, I'm just gonna go. I've had enough. Anyways, next up, Dallas and Vancouver. Vancouver Canucks and Dallas, two of my favorite teams. My favorite teams never get along very well when they play against each other. Whether it's Dallas and Boston, Boston, Vancouver, Dallas, Vancouver, famously Boston, Vancouver. But anyways, it's Ottinger versus Demko in this one. Stars press at 2.5 minutes. They end up getting themselves a power play. Johnston was robbed a couple of times. Demko holds on there. Robertson then has a blast that's held. We end up getting 4-on-4. Hughes has a screenshot that's held. Everything gets killed off out of that. Shots are 7-6 at the half in favor of Dallas. We get a power play for the Canucks. That's killed off. The Stars go back to the power play. That was killed off as well, so both teams 0-for-2 in the first period. Second period with the scoreless. Mikheyev's denied close. Things get pushed in a hole by Demko. The Canucks get their third power play. Miller has a net drive that's blocked. That power play is killed off. And then Suter. He scores from Joshua and Susie at 4:21. He wires that one far corner. Nice to see Pia Suter on the board. Stars get a power play. That's killed off. Besser fires one high. The Stars rush. Dodonov fires one wide on a rush. We get power play number 4 for the Vancouver Canucks. Pettersson hits the side of the net. The power play is killed off. With 5.5 minutes left, the shots are 12-1 Vancouver. And then Pettersson scores from Hronek and Mikheyev at 15:54. It was a one-timer. It was a great pass. And it's 2-0 Vancouver. Marchment then had a fight with Cole. Marchment wasn't happy with the hit Cole threw, so the Canucks come out of that with a power play. Delandry is denied a shorthanded goal. In fact, Dallas had all the really good, high-quality chances during that power play, so it's probably for the best that to start the third period, Stars just finish the kill, and Vancouver doesn't speak of it. Shots on net are only one apiece 5 minutes in. Both teams playing defense in this. Craig Smith couldn't bury one in close. Things get pushed in a hole by Demko. Besser fires one wide from the slot. The shots are 5-3 Dallas with 9 minutes left. Canucks are protecting the net really well, making sure Dallas has nothing right in front. Goalie pull happens with about 3:20 left. With 2:52 left, the Canucks ice the puck. With 1:24 left, we end up with a face-off in the Stars' end, so Ottinger has to go back in. And Vancouver wins this one 2-0. They go to 8-2-1. Dallas 7-2-1 with the loss. And again, Vancouver with a shutout, and I never got the feeling like there was this impending danger and doom. Shots on net, 13-8 Dallas in the first, 14-5 Vancouver in the second, and then 9-6 Dallas in the third. Final shots, 28-27 Vancouver. Power plays, 0-for-3 for Dallas, 0-for-5 for Vancouver. The hits, 21-15 Vancouver. Ottinger saves 26 out of 28. Demko saves all 27 shots. He has 2 shutouts already. I don't know what this team is. I don't. I can't remember the last time the Canucks had 2 shutouts this early in the season. It's been a long time. So it's an interesting time as a Canuck fan, isn't it? Where you're like, is this where the doom happens? No, not yet. No doom. All right. Next up, Colorado and Vegas. So I used the state ones because why not use the state magnets? Because I enjoy the state magnets and because Colorado is just basically a rectangle. It's funny. Anyways, I've got a whole bunch of the state and province magnets. I've already shown just a couple, but it's someday I'm going to use all of them, and then I'll just have to explain to everybody what's going on, which is what I do with the board anyways. So it's Georgiev versus Hill, and I swear Colorado played a good game. I swear they did. But at any rate, early rushes for both teams. There's a power play for Vegas. That's killed off 5 shots during Vegas' power play. So, yeah, Georgiev. Shots are 6-1 Vegas, 5 minutes in. There's another power play for Vegas. That's killed off. The Avs press with 9.5 minutes left. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. And then with 4:20 left, there's a power play for Colorado, which means Mark Stone scores shorthanded. McNabb and Stevenson with the assists at 16:50. He buries that one in close, and then Vegas finishes the kill. So they come out of that first period, which I thought Colorado looked pretty good, but it's 1-0 Vegas. Second period, early press by Vegas, but the shots on net are 3-0 Colorado 3.5 minutes in. Avs press at 4.5 minutes. Vegas doing a good job blocking, and Aiden Hill's becoming the story as this game goes along. Strong first half for the Avs. And then Eichel scores from Marchessault and Pietrangelo at 9:35. So who cares about the strong start? There you go. It just happens that way. We get a power play for the Avs. That's killed off. And then Carrier scores from Stone and Stevenson at 12:57. So this was a nice rush play where Carrier scores. It's a snipe on a net drive by Eichel. And we are suddenly looking at a 3-0 lead for Vegas. Even though, to this point in the game, Colorado's playing all right. So we get a power play for Vegas, and they score on it. Eichel, with his second goal of the game, scores from Stone and Theodore at 13:49. Things get punchy with 2:47 left. You could feel the frustration level for the Avs growing here. And 2 of each team go to the box, so just settle things down, get 4 guys off the ice. Stevenson's denied on a rush, but after 2 periods of play, it's 4-0 Vegas. Third period, power play for the Avs. There's a shorthanded rush by Eichel that's defended, but Stone gets his second shorthanded goal of the game. He scores at 3:22, and then Vegas finishes the kill. So now they're up 5-0. Power play for Vegas, that's killed off. And then William Karlsson decides to jump in on the fun. He scores from Dorofeyev at 9:13. 8.5 minutes left. The shots are actually 7-6 for Colorado. So, yeah. And then Karlsson roofs one from Dorofeyev and Amadio at 14:43. Wild Bill's having a good year. Vegas is having a good year. They win 7-0. So that's your final. Vegas is now 11-0-1. They still have not tasted defeat in regulation. And Colorado has now been shut out in 3 of their last 4. So their last 3 road games, they've been shut out. This is very, very concerning. But they are 7-3 overall. So the shots on net, 14-12 Vegas in the first, 12-11 Colorado in the second. 17-10 Colorado in the third. Final shots 41-35 for Colorado. This is a no mercy magnet too. So before anybody says anything, that is a no mercy magnet. Power plays 0-for-3 for Colorado, 1-for-4 for Vegas. The hits 23-18 for Colorado. Georgiev saves 28 out of 35, and Hill saves all 41 shots in the shutout. So bonkers night. We had, was it 3 shutouts? We had 3 shutouts tonight, and yet we also had 3 no mercy games. We had a lot of goals. So kind of bonkers, but I followed it, and now I did the review, and now I'll upload it, and you fine people can chime in on what you thought of the games tonight. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.